Hi, your girl is back with another reading vlog. Hey guys, what's up? My name is Dom. Welcome back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, I typically make bookish content, travel content, movie content, and a lot of other... I messed up my own intro, but I make a lot of stuff because I do whatever the fuck I want on this channel. Today is the first reading vlog of 2021. Actually, no, it's not. It's the second, because my Breaking Dawn one's not up yet as of filming this. So for today's reading vlog, we are continuing my Twilight series. I have read the original 4 books in preparation. I reread them in preparation for Midnight Sun, but I couldn't read Midnight Sun without reading the other Twilight companion novel. So we're reading Life and Death for the first time, which is the first Twilight book, but gender bent. I'm already 40 pages in, so it's gonna be a great fucking time, and let's just jump into it. Alright, so we open up with the series, and I can already tell you 40 pages in, this is like word for word the original Twilight, but just better written, scene by scene. Some of the dialogue is the exact same. We have our human, who is a man, named Beaufort. Poor kid, and he even feels bad about it, but he goes by Beau. He's leaving Phoenix to go live with Charlie. So Charlie and Renee are the only 2 characters in this who are not gender bent. Stephanie Meyer kept them the same. And I did read the foreword for this, and I understand why she kept them the same, because it does take place in 2005. And back then, it was really uncommon for fathers to get custody of their children. Even if the mothers were as incompetent as Renee is, it was still rare for fathers to get custody. As much as I wanted to see Charlie become Charlotte, I understand why she kept it. Beau goes to school. Literally everyone is gender bent. Going into this, I thought it was just going to be about Bella and Edward, but like everyone. The person Beau meets at the office is now a man. In the first book, he was a woman. All the teachers got gender bent because Bella had the majority male teachers. Beau has majority female. Their names weren't changed. It's just from Mr. to Mrs. At one point, Beau was freaking out, so he told Charlie, "It's not like anyone is gonna bite me." And I thought that was kind of funny, because this is the only gender bent book she wrote. I kind of have a feeling what the ending is. I always wondered if Beau is just going to turn into a vampire in this one, but we'll see. So we have met the Cullens, and their names are really fucking unfortunate. Edward is now Edith, but Edith as in E-D-Y-T-H-E. Why? I don't know. Stephanie Meyer likes to be extra, I guess. Jasper is now Jessamine, and I can only forgive that because of Rosalie. Rosalie is now Royal. Royal seems attractive. He's nice and tall with a man bun. Seems attractive to me. That's all we know about him, but seems pretty hot to me. Emmett is now Eleanor with long curly hair, but only like half an inch shorter than Royal. Alice is now Archie, which I think is kind of cute. My friends don't like that name, but it fits a boy with Alice's personality. So I kind of like it. Jessica is now Jeremy, Mike is now Michaela, Eric is now Erica, how creative. Angela is now Alan. So then they go to gym, and the teacher's name, I don't know if this was the name in the first book, but the teacher's name is Coach Clapp, and I'm sorry, but that reminds me of chlamydia. It sounds like, let's just move on. Beau goes to biology. Edith freaks out, and we know it's because Beau smells good, but Beau doesn't know that. Just like in the first book, Edith stops going to school until, you know, the whole onion scene, right? The last thing I really have to say about that is that, so in the foreword, Stephanie Meyer said Beau was kind of harder to write because he's more OCD than Bella. Let's be clear, Bella doesn't have OCD. She just liked to clean. That's not OCD. So I don't know what I was expecting going into this book, and just like disclaimer if you're new here, I do have OCD. I have been diagnosed with obsessive compulsive disorder, and sure enough, Beau doesn't have OCD either. All he does is clean, just happens to be really well. He's like not even cleaning under stress. He's just cleaning because you should keep a house clean. That's what he's doing. And he's like, "Oh, good thing Charlie doesn't mind OCD." And I'm like, "Bitch, you don't fucking got OCD." Meyer doesn't understand it. And like this, I know this takes place in 2005, but the book itself was published in 2015. So it's like, you should have done your research by then. This was published in 2015, and by 2015 there should have been like a common knowledge of what OCD meant. I know there's still some misinformation out there, but like the knowledge about it has improved drastically between 2005 and 2015. That's what I'm trying to say. So that's what I read up to, basically, only 40 pages in. Some comments I have outside of what happened is that the writing has improved drastically. I'm shocked, but I mean, I've read her other books outside of Twilight, and I said the same thing. Like, it improves so much, I can't even believe it's the same author as Twilight, so props to you, girl. Something that kind of threw me off is when she first announced this book, I thought it was going to be like a personality switch as well. So like I thought the human would have Edward's personality and then the vampire would have Bella's. But Bo very much has Bella's personality. So we really are just reading Twilight all over again, just with pronouns switched and different names. And I don't really know how I feel about that. Like, I got bored reading chapter 2, you know? And the only really subtle difference between Edith and Edward is that her hair is longer, and rather than commenting on a smile, Bo comments on her dimples a lot. And like sometimes Bo will say things to make it obvious he's a guy, but at the same time I still feel like I'm reading a girl. And I want to know how tall Bo is, because he's always commenting about how he towers over everyone, but Royal's even taller, and Royal's supposed to be like 6'5". So where are you at? Where are you at in the height scale? That's all I got. I don't know Carlisle's gender bent name. I just know she is a doctor, and she's in Forks because her husband, Esme's gender bent pair, wants to live in a small town. I don't know Jacob's yet. I think it's Jules, actually. I might have been spoiled for that. But yeah, I'm not going to read more yet because I have other shit to do, so I will check in later. So I'm 150 pages in this book, and I didn't update through all that time simply because I forgot to. Go me. Also, my throat kind of hurts. I just filmed a video and I was talking fast, breathing through my mouth, so now my throat's all dry, so if I sound weird, I apologize. My camera never picks out when my voice sounds weird, so you guys probably don't even hear anything, and you're like, you sound like you normally do. See, it's hard to talk about these things because I'm just repeating what happened in Twilight, and I don't feel like doing that. So pardon me if I, like, go by super fast. But the car crash, boring. It's almost word for word what happened in the original Twilight, except Tyler is now Taylor. Because, you know, Stephanie Meyer is so clever when it comes to names, right? So there's a scene where Jeremy and Bo are talking about, like, the dance and who they're going to ask, and I swear to God, I thought Jeremy was going to ask Bo, but here we are. No, he was going to ask, what's his face? Jeremy was asking Bo if he could bring Michaela. There was one part that was funny. I think it was when they were going to, what were they doing? I don't remember. But Edith basically called Bo an idiot, I think, and I think it was because Bo was like, oh, you should have let me die at the car crash, something like that, so she called him an idiot. Bo got all offended by it, and like, this is in the original Twilight, but for some reason it's funnier when a girl says it to a boy. Sorry, but it is. And I'm not saying it wasn't true, just that it's rude to say aloud. So okay, I was reading, it was the blood scene where they had to do the blood test in school that I'm still wondering if schools even do that anymore. Like, do any schools? My school did it, and I said that in my Twilight vlog, but is there a single school that does? Like, I know when it comes to, like, the genetic stuff, they had to stop doing that because that's how a lot of kids were finding out they were adopted. But what about the blood test? While I was reading that scene, it hit me that a trait for Bella and Bo is that they faint at the sight of blood, and then they later become creatures that drink the blood. So I thought that was kind of interesting. But yeah, he faints, and there's like medical jargon that he knows that Bella wasn't using, so I thought that was a cool difference in character. And it was cute. Rather than telling the doctor, oh, I get fainting spells, like Edith got a smug smile, and she was like, he gets this blah 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 that I don't remember. Logan's annoying. Bo just punched him in the face. Like, you're big. Like, he's described to be like super tall and like big enough for people to not bother him. Don't let this pipsqueak bother you. Just that's what I would do, and I don't know why you're not doing it. They do go to the beach, and this is where I started thinking that Michaela doesn't remind me of a female Mike. She reminds me of Jessica. Like, I feel like I'm reading Jessica and not Mike. Does that make any sense? Like, I don't know. Like maybe it is because of the sexes of the characters, but I feel like Jeremy is Mike, and I feel like Michaela is Jessica. Like, am I making any sense? We do get to meet Jules, aka Julie Black, aka the female Jacob Black. I don't really have anything to say for the scene because it's word for word like what you see in the original Twilight. The story she's telling to Edward, the story she's telling to Bo. And I was hoping Stephanie Meyer was going to use this as a way to fix the mistake of the original book. In the original book, I said that Jacob comes off as making fun of his culture, which it would be one thing if it was a Native American writer writing that, but it is a white woman having her Native American representative character make fun of his own culture, so it reads really weird. Like, if you're gonna have a representative character, don't make them make fun of their own culture. That's what I'm trying to say, and I was hoping she would fix that, but she didn't. Jules is very much the original Twilight Jacob, where she is making fun of it. So that was kind of disappointing to see. but I did like Jules. Okay, so before I go on, I want to say I'm kind of liking the dynamic of a female vampire with a human male. If it wasn't for the fact that this is not necessarily original, I actually really like this concept a lot better than Twilight. But I like the soft-spoken boy with the, you know, the intelligent, head on her shoulders type of vampire girl. There are minor changes that I do enjoy. Like, Beau's favorite book is different than Bella's. I forgot what Bella's was, but it was something like one of the Bronte sisters wrote, whereas Beau's is 20 Leagues Under the Sea. So despite the fact they're both readers, their favorites are different, which I think they are supposed to be the same person, but I like those minor changes because it does distinguish them. And I did see that the scene that, you know, where Edward saves Bella / Edith saves Beau while they're in Port Angeles is different, whereas Bella gets attacked by those 4 men. Beau has a gun to his face, and it's a woman with 2 men. And there's actually a hit to this earlier, because I didn't mention this because I didn't think it was going to come back. But earlier in the book, when he's at an airport, he accidentally hits someone with his bag. He recognizes the guy with the tattoos here, and the woman's like, oh, you're a cop because I saw you walking with that guy. I don't believe you that you're the son. I think you are a cop. I noticed in the dinner scene, Edith is like word for word saying the same as Edward, but it still comes off as 2 different characters. I don't know, like, Edward seems so stoic. So I'm talking about the parts where Edith is scared of hurting Beau, but Beau is grabbing her hand whenever she gets vulnerable, letting her guard down. Her and Edward read different. Like, Edward kind of read as, despite being vulnerable, he still read as stoic, whereas Edith reads as shy almost, because she's described as like putting her head down. You can't see past her lashes. Sometimes she'll hide her hand under the table, and she always speaks in a whisper during these moments. And she just comes off as shy and quiet, while Edward is the tough guy. And I like that change as well, because I think it works, given the dynamics, it works better. So what are my collective thoughts now that we're 150 pages in this book? Well, it's not lost on me that both Beau and Bella's name mean beautiful. So I have this written down, but I don't know if I agree with this now. But when I was about like 100 pages in, I thought Beau was bland and even worse than Bella. But now that I'm reading more and seeing him interact with Edith and how he responds to her actions, he's still bland, and I'm still questioning why so many girls are after him. But he's not worse than Bella anymore. Like, he's, like I said, there are like distinctive differences. They're slight, but I am reading Beau and Bella as 2 different people and not just the male version of Bella. Did that make any sense? Did I just contradict myself? I don't know. It's almost midnight. I'm tired. But I still just think like Michaela, Erica, and all of them are after him because he's the new guy. At one point in this, I was picturing myself as a vampire, like wishing I was a vampire to seduce men. So that's where my headspace is at. 2021. The pandemic needs to end, guys. I should just call him, I know. While reading this book too, I remembered another thought I had when this book was first announced. I also thought it was going to be in the vampire's point of view. So like, yeah, I originally thought it was going to be Edith with Bella's personality in her point of view. Which, as much as I am kind of liking the concept Stephanie Meyer has going now, I would like that concept as well. Like a soft-spoken, chill, blandish vampire who's a female, crushing on the guy, you know, who's headstrong, kind of stoic, but also at the same time cares about everyone around him, male as a human. I could write that. I don't know, maybe. I haven't written forever, so Twilight fan fiction, here we fucking come. Okay, so if you're wondering how bad I am at these, I am 300 pages into this book, so we have 80 pages left. Beau was just telling Jeremy how him and Edith went on that dinner date. Jeremy's a dick. He claimed that Edith just did it to pity him. Drop the friend. And I don't know why Beau wasn't angry. I would have punched Jeremy in the face. And for some reason, I am absolutely obsessed when Edith and what's-his-face Beau hold hands. Maybe it's because like 12-year-old me, for some reason 12-year-old me was totally into that trope where like the girl was hesitant, but you know, the boy like let her take her time, because that's kind of how it is here. Edith is very hesitant to touch his hand, and Beau is giving her space. He's like, you do you, the girl's taking control. I'm absolutely obsessed with that trope when I was younger, whereas, you know, nowadays it's the bare fucking minimum. So once again, we are simping men for doing the bare fucking minimum, but here we are. Beau had a whole, like, show telling Taylor that he's not going to prom with her, which leads me to believe, since Bella did not do this with Tyler, leads me to believe, once again, Beau's gonna be a vampire by the end of the book and cannot go to prom. We love foreshadowing. So then we just get to the whole meadow scene, and I have to say, although I'm liking this concept better of, you know, the female vampire, the male human, Edith is as dramatic as Edward, but it hits different. At some moments I get it, but then at some moments it's like almost unnatural. Like I can't get, I was gonna say I can't get Edward out of my head. Like I know she's the same as Edward, but sometimes the way these scenes are written out, like I'm picturing Bo talking to Edward, not Bo talking to a girl named Edith. My friends keep sending me fucking Supernatural memes. I have never seen Supernatural. I have written down here, Bo wants to do everything at her speed, so she's comfy, and why is the bare minimum so attractive? So then we get to later where it's after the meadow and Edith drops Bo at home. I was hoping Stephenie Meyer would take out the part where the vampire watches the human sleep, but unfortunately she left it. Edith does unfortunately watch Bo sleep. This does not hit different despite the genders being flipped. Like, I don't care what gender you are, that's creepy. I don't like it. And I hate myself because later she tells Bo she does it because she wants to be where he is. In a different context would be cute. So that's why I hate myself for finding it cute, because the given context, really fucking weird. Stop watching people sleep. But anyway, so they're in their room, Charlie's asleep, and they're talking. The way Edith curls into Bo is kind of cute because Bo's just Jay chilling while Edith, I guess she's supposed to be really small because she mentions a few times that she has to be on her tiptoes to kiss Bo. She like curls into his lap with her head on his chest and like listening to his heartbeat, and that's kind of cute. They do talk about sex, and unlike the original series, Meyer does not dance around the word sex in this, which I greatly appreciate. Thank you, because that was so annoying. And so Edith tells Bo, like, I don't think we could do it as vampire human. And it got me thinking, imagine being a human girl and having a cold granite vampire dick in you. Sex is uncomfortable. Like, your first time is uncomfortable with a human dick. I can't imagine like a vampire dick that has to hurt like a bitch, and also that has to be cold. Can you imagine having something that cold up your coochie? Like, no thank you. But which got me thinking, Edith is a female, right? She has a vagina. Bo's male, has a penis. What if a human male sticks his penis into a, you know, female vampire's vagina? Would his dick freeze off? I'm clearly thinking too deep into this, but I gotta know. So then Edith begins to list off a bunch of things she finds attractive, like physically attractive about Bo, because she mentioned like, not only did you smell good, but you are actually beautiful. That's why it hurts so much to like want to kill you, but that's also why I wanted to save you. And she mentioned his arms, and she's like, you have great arms, which would sound weird, but I also think male arms are absolutely stunning. Like, I think they're a very underrated attribute. And no one really talks about it except for Edith, so thank you, Edith, for the relatable content, and I don't feel so alone in this world anymore. So then we get to the scene where Bo meets the Cullens. It's like word for word the original Corinne's story. It's basically Carlisle's. It's just the difference is because Carlisle is a man, he got to join those manhunts and then got bit on the hunt and had to hide in the sewers, whereas Corinne, the vampire, comes to her house, kills her father, and bites her like in her house, so she has to hide in her basement. And she can't become a doctor right away. She actually has to work as a nurse because she is a woman. So again, it's like the minor changes that makes these characters, despite being the same, still their own character. So I did appreciate that. And then we get to the baseball scene, and again, Edith is from Chicago. Chicago has 2 baseball teams. I asked this in the Twilight vlog. Is Edward a Cubs or a White Sox fan? I don't know. Is Edith a Cubs or a White Sox fan? Again, I don't fucking know, because Stephenie Meyer won't answer these goddamn questions. As a Chicagoan, I am so curious. I am a Cubs fan, so I hope Edith is a Cubs fan. But then the 3 nomads come. Victoria becomes Victor. Laurent becomes Lauren. How original. But then, so I was expecting James to become like Jamie or something. James becomes Joss. Joss gets a whiff of Bo's scent, goes crazy. Edith's like, no, we gotta go. And it's Edith, Bo, Archie, and Eleanor in the car, trying to drive away. Edith is freaking out the same way Edward did, doesn't want to listen to anyone at first, but eventually gives in because Bo's idea is actually really good. Kind of at this point, I'm getting a little impatient because I'm reading the same thing and I do really want to skip forward, but I'm so intrigued to know if my theory about whether or not Bo's going to be a vampire at the end is true. Want to skip over to that part, but obviously cannot because I don't know at what part she would make the changes. I want to read fan fiction instead because I'm in the middle of an Azula and Sokka I know, but I'm in the middle of an Azula and Sokka fanfiction that I'm very intrigued by, and I want to finish that, and then I'm going to go to bed, and hopefully I can get these 80 pages read tomorrow. So I finally finished this book, and I have a lot to talk about, I think. Who knows? I finished this a few days ago, and I'm just getting to it now. But y'all, let's just begin. I was looking forward to the ending, which I was right about right away, because how many times did I say that Bo was going to turn into a vampire? And he did, so I was right about that. I'll just skip to the part where Joss, that's a hard name to say, Joss bites Bo, and Edith's trying to save him. The difference between this is that in Twilight, Edward was actually able to save Bella. Obviously, because we had to suffer through 3 more books. I say suffer as if I'm not Twilight trash. But in this, Archie saw only 2 visions. It was either 1, Edith sucks out all the venom, but kills Bo in the process, or 2, she just leaves him be and he turns into a vampire. Edith chose to leave him be and save him, and we actually got to see that process, and it was clearly more painful. Well, I don't want to really compare, but it was kind of more painful for him than for Bella, because Bella was able to keep quiet the whole time, whereas he couldn't, and I like to see that. I liked how we got, like, the actual, like, I don't want, because, like, Bella's experience isn't the actual experience, but, like, she's kind of a Mary Sue in that sense, where everything just came so easy to her, whereas Bo actually struggled a bit. He screamed, he scared Edith, and I liked seeing that, I wanted to see the same process all the other vampires had to go through. So while Bo was writhing in pain, he heard the past lives of everyone else. Ernest was really sad, but Ernest's wife was an alcoholic, and one day his wife took his daughter Grace and jumped off a cliff, both of them. So he jumped after them because that's all he could do, so he wanted to be with his daughter. Oh, also, okay, so I did want to talk about this. So while this was all happening, while Bo was turning into a vampire, Corinne did tell him that werewolves do exist. And this is the part where Meyer really showed her ass about how she treated the tribe. So I'm well aware the Quileutes don't like the representation in the Twilight books. So what I always wondered reading the original 4 books was like anything similar to their belief system? Like, did they have stories with the wolves and all that? So then people said, like, no, she literally made everything up. She just pulled it out of her ass and just used the Quileutes. So what I'm trying to say is that this book kind of proved the point, because in the original 4 books, like, it was very hardcore about how only the men could become wolves, and that's why Leo was such a big deal. But in this book, it flip-flops. The men cannot become wolves. It's only the girls, so only the women who could become wolves. So the fact that she was just able to change the tradition so easily, she outed herself basically that she fucked up their representation. And that's really disappointing that she didn't use this as a learning experience. So then we get to the epilogue, and it opens up with Bo and Edith in the tree watching a funeral. Whose funeral was it? It was Bo's. They had to fake his death because he obviously could not be around humans, given the situation, and it was sad seeing, like, you know, Jeremy, Alan, and all his friends be pallbearers. The fact that Charlie had to go to his only child's funeral, I should be sad for Renee too, but it's just like Charlie, like, we all know Charlie is one of the best parents in YA fiction, and I was so sad for him, and I'm so upset that Charlie had to go to a funeral, because, like, he's still the Charlie I know as Bella's dad. The fact that he stayed behind to watch the casket get buried is really sad. But I'm also wondering whose body is in there, because Bo doesn't even know. He's like, yeah, they kind of just found a body and threw him in there, so I'm a little sus. I mean, the Cullens did go, so that's when Bonnie, aka Billy Black, got suspicious. She's like, why are the Cullens here without Edith, you know? They called for a meeting, so Bonnie thinks Bo isn't the same. She wants to kick out the Cullens, but because she refuses to believe that Corinne did not bite Bo. But Corinne's like, if we leave now after, you know, Bo's death, it's going to be suspicious. We can't just skedaddle. We'll leave after Archie and Edith finish their senior year, which Bonnie granted them permission to do. And then Bo just says, like, hey, can you make sure my father's okay for me? And that's when Bonnie's like, okay, maybe you're still in there. Yeah, and then the book essentially ends. So Bonnie pieces out, Corinne moves on ahead, Edith and Bo have a moment, and it literally ends with forever sounds amazing. And you know fucking what? I'm actually going to miss these characters. One more thing about Charlie, though, that I just remembered. It pains me that Bo's last words to Charlie were about how he hates Forks and wants to move back to Phoenix. And, you know, he uses the words his mom used. And that's all Charlie has to remember. I mean, it's not all he has, but it's like his last memory of Bo alive, and it pains me, and it pains Bo too. Bo felt so bad, but it just pains me. As I was saying though, I'm actually going to miss Bo and Edith, because quite frankly, I like them better than Edward and Bella, which is probably something controversial to say, but I enjoyed this book better. I have no words. I really have no words. I don't know why I enjoyed them better, because they are the same people, but for some reason it kind of hits different when the genders are swapped, and I really don't know why that is, but it is. Also, Bo is just tall, so of course he's going to be attractive. But I have to say, I do like this gender concept better than the original Twilight, because I don't think there's enough vampire books out there, and maybe it's just because I'm not like reading them, but I haven't seen a lot of books where it's a female vampire with a human guy. I quite frankly like the concept. I'm not saying the book is great by any means, because again, it's scene by scene the same of an already published book. I truly think if this book was like published before Twilight, like as it is, as well written as it is, like if this was its own book and like the Twilight universe didn't exist, I truly think this would have gained as much popularity as the original Twilight, and maybe better reception. And I don't know, I kind of like related to Edith in a sense. I can't really put that into words, but I just know that Stephenie Meyer was like, oh, I made Bella bland on purpose so any reader could put themselves in her shoes. But I mean, like, why would I be a bland-ass human when I could be a mind-reading vampire that lures in men? Why? I don't want to put myself in Bella's shoes or Bo's shoes when Edith is right there and I could just read this from her point of view. Something I found interesting is that Edith cannot read Bo's mind even as a vampire, but Stephenie Meyer made no mention of whether or not Bo has the same gift as Bella. So, interesting choice, but he is kind of just as Mary Sue as she is. Granted, they have to protect him a little more than they had to protect Bella, but again, he has strong willpower. He's still Bo. He's not some crazy ravaged newborn that, you know, Edith is amazed that he is not. But no mention of a gift. Which, why? Why? Unless that's to differentiate between Bo and Bella, which I can respect. I really don't have much else to say other than I can't stress enough how much I'm actually going to miss these characters. I don't know if I'm going to miss all the characters, but Edith and Bo, I should just go read some fan fiction about them. It made me reminiscent from my teen years, which is kind of weird to say. I think I said that about the original Twilight. But sometimes I miss being a teenager. Like, as much as I don't want to repeat those years, I gotta admit, this made me nostalgic. So I think my final rating is going to be like 3.75 stars out of 5, and then we're going to leave it at that. The next part of my Twilight series is reading Midnight Sun, and then I can get started with the movies. That's going to be a fun time. I have been doing this series way too fucking long. I'm getting sick of Twilight, but also I'm not because Twilight trash. But I think I'm just going to go because I don't really have much else to say. So if you guys enjoyed this video, give it a big thumbs up, like, comment, subscribe. Y'all know the drill. And without further ado, I'm going to peace out and thank you guys for watching. Ciao a tutti.